Up next on the AM edition of Race Day, Jeff Gordon's crew chief much lighter in the wall, yet that the Rainbow Warriors are still fastest at Dover. A live preview. The Super Trucks beat and bang in a Derbytown showdown. Can the Skinner-Hornaday pair be stopped? And yes, Virginia, the NHRA Warriors back at full throttle. We'll find out who is upside down in qualifying on Race Day, Sunday, June the 4th, 1995. Well, good morning. Welcome to Race Day. I'm Rick Benjamin. Great to have you with us today. Think it's going to be hard to top the heart-pounding pace of Memorial Day here? Not at all. We're going to hit everything hard for you the next 30 minutes, so hang on. We begin up in Delaware this morning. The Winston Cup drivers are set to do battle live here on TNN in just half an hour. Their first trip of the year to the Monster Mile. And besides each other, these teams will battle a brand new surface for the first time. TNN's crew is there. Let's start with the man who'll call the action for us. Mike Joy is there. Mike, a lot going on, especially with tires this weekend.
Well, that has been the big story here at Dover. Late yesterday afternoon, as the Goodyear brought a very hard compound tire here, counting on an abrasive racetrack. As the abrasion started to fill in, they started overheating tires. So yesterday afternoon, Goodyear pulled out all the tires they brought here. Came in this morning with a whole new setup, and NASCAR gave the teams an almost unprecedented 30 minutes of practice this morning to try out the new tires. Buddy Baker joins me here, and Will, for our TNN telecast today. What did they learn this morning, Buddy?
Well, Mike, what they've done, they've got a harder compound tire. This means the car slips a little more getting in the corner, but the good news is you don't have to worry about it going a gas stop. The other thing is you're not getting the tire buildup on the outside of the grooves there that made it so slick yesterday, so it's going to be better all the way around.
Well, most of the teams think we're good to go for 500 miles here at Dover, but there's more to this tire story, the issue of allocation of tires. Here's Glenn Jarrett with more.
Well, thanks, Mike. The tires allocated, the left side tires are from Dover and Michigan last year. Right side tires are Darlington tires from earlier this year. Now, the teams have been allotted 6 sets. That includes the set that they start the race on. Those are the ones they practiced on this morning. You see the left side tires here on Ward Burton's outside pole, Hardy's Chevrolet. Now, they will start the race with 5 sets of marked tires in the pits. They won't get any more until teams start falling out. When enough teams fall out, they have to turn their tires back into Goodyear. When there are enough of those tires turned in for every team that is in contention to get another set, then they'll get another set along pit road. But until then, they're going to start the race, 6 sets of tires. Right now, that's all they're planning on getting for the 500 miles.
Glenn, what's NASCAR saying about this? Are they likely to put out a mandatory caution to check the tires after a while?
In the drivers' meeting this morning, Rick, they did say there would be a mandatory caution. We haven't been able to find out yet when that would be. We imagine probably sometime in the first 15 to 30 laps, maybe around lap 25. But yes, they will have a mandatory caution. Come in and check the tires to see what the wear is like.
All right, thanks. TNN's Glenn Jarrett live for us in Dover. We'll be heading back to Dover Downs a little bit later on for more of today's story. No rest for the weary this week, especially IndyCar teams. Just a couple of days after picking up their huge Indy 500 paychecks, the teams head northwest just a couple of hours till Milwaukee and back to a mile oval for today's 200-mile event. The Penske team looking for redemption, at least in qualifying, and they got some of that. Al Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi, the two quickest until the very end of qualifying, until Teo Fabi rolled out onto the racetrack in the Forsyth car. Fabi, the last man to qualify, claimed the 10th pole of his IndyCar career. Michael Andretti will complete the second row with Al Jr. We'll find out later this afternoon whether Penske's post-Indy rallying cry of "we've not yet begun to fight" will work out for his crew. Full highlights of the 200-miler at Milwaukee tonight on the PM edition of Race Day here at 7:30 Eastern. But the thoughts of those who follow IndyCar racing are still with this guy, midget great Stan Fox. On Friday, Stan came out of the coma he's been in since crashing hard last Sunday at the very start of the Indy 500. Foxy is 42. He is still in fair condition now in the neuro-intensive care unit at Methodist in Indianapolis. Maybe the best, most miraculous part of all this, Stan Fox suffered no leg injuries, we're told, in that vicious crash last Sunday. His legs hit the wall. Our thoughts here at Race Day with Stan and his family and friends. We'll keep you posted on his condition. Hope he's back with us very soon. More to come on Race Day today. We'll show you how the Mikes made out in the Super Trucks last night, and could Chad make out a little better again than the BGN field at Dover Saturday? Plus later, live to Richmond, the latest on the NHRA stars, the first trip to a brand new racetrack. That and much more coming up on Race Day. We'll be right back.
Race Day is brought to you by Mopar, Chrysler Corporation Parts, and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. By Jiffy Lube. If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it just isn't Jiffy Lube. By Speed Stick by Menon. Like you, it never quits.
Sunshine and fresh cement in Dover. We'll go back up there in a moment. We're back, and you know that Long-haul truckers hardly ever take a day off. Same is true for the super truckers of NASCAR. Although the competition would like Ron Hornaday and Mike Skinner to take a break. They won all but one race in this first Super Truck season so far. Skinner has been the fast qualifier 5 times. They tried again last night in Louisville, Kentucky. Jack Sprague had the pole in his 31 with an inverted start. The Skinner rule, they call it. Toby Butler, the man early, but on his way to the front, he bumps Sprague, and the 31 bashes the side of Skinner's good wrench Chevy. Skinner's crew had to bring him to the pits to pull away the sheet metal so he could go back. Ron Hornaday's luck not a lot better this week. The Earnhardt 16 bumped by Rick Corelli's truck. He disappears in a cloud of smoke. Could finish only 16th. Plenty of old-fashioned bump and grind last night. Open wheel veteran Mike Bliss getting turned there. Tight Racing almost claimed the leader. Semi Swindell spun in 4. He clipped Joe Ruttman and Ernie Irvin's truck. The 84 spins, gets a flat tire, and Ernie jumps into the fray to help change the shoe. Ruttman quickly back into action. Butler's time in the spotlight comes to an abrupt end in 1 and 2. He goes from first to third in that sheet metal swap. Bob Keselowski gave the Dodge boys a little bit to cheer about until a leaking rear end crushed his chances. The halftime break last night at Louisville, and then the familiar black 3 coming from the tail end of the field to the point. E.J. Jones and Ruttman and Butch Miller all giving chase, but chasing's all they could do. Skinner rebounds from his early trouble to claim his 4th win of the season. Joe Ruttman's second again puts him 3rd in the points battle behind Skinner, and third place finisher last night, Butch Miller, Toby Butler, Rick Corelli round out the top 5. And we told you about the tire worries at Dover for the Winston Cup event that you'll see live in a few minutes here on TNN. A taste of that yesterday live on TNN as well. The Busch Grand National drivers on the newly cemented hills of Dover for 200 miles. Everyone trying to see who could master that new White Lightning surface in its first race. Dover may have a new look, but it was the same old monster mile. It turned ugly pretty early. Patty Moise, in fact, would find trouble on lap 10 as the first mandatory caution came out to check tires. She and her tires were okay, but the car a lot shorter. Those mandatory tire checks needed. Look at those blisters. Teams and drivers knowing the new surface was chewing up the rubber. Mark Martin's car chewed up by the concrete at Dover. Martin hard into the wall. Here's GN point leader Johnny Benson Jr. cruising to the lead after starting 7th. He hung around up front only to fade as he used up his rubber too. Been hosing him down to keep him cool. Drivers need to take it easy, try to save the tires they had. 2X Modified Tour warriors had things figured out. Doug Heveron on the 35 got exceptional wear, working his way up front from 18th. And this is Mike McLaughlin, the only other driver with the magic combination in the C.C. Wellenberg car. They nearly lapped the field. Steve Grissom got together with Jason Keller late in the race. They tried to get the same concrete. Grissom got the wall and bunched the field for the run to the finish. Shortly after the restart, the monster climbed back in, though. Heveron loses a motor and loses his chance at his first Busch Grand National victory. It opens things up for Mike McLaughlin. From there, Magic Shoes danced away from the monster. His first Busch Series win ever. Mike Wallace survives for second. Ricky Craven makes a rare Busch Series appearance, gets third. Dixon Keller and Dale Jarrett in a photo finish for fourth. And our Speed Stick Fast Track Points Update, brought to you by Menon, the Grand National Series. Benson is still your point leader. Chad Little made up some ground, now 108 markers behind. Jason Keller, McLaughlin, and Parsons round out the top 5. And next week, the Busch Series back to a short track. Myrtle Beach Speedway in South Carolina. You'll see it here live on TNN next Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern, for the Carolina Pride Budweiser 250. And we'll have all the highlights on race day. Let's check out the open wheelers now. The World of Outlaws making their annual Northeastern swing through Pennsylvania and New York. They race almost every night for an entire week. Last Tuesday, they started the tour at Grandview Speedway, the high banks in Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania. Some of the highest banks everywhere. Everyone wondering who could stop the Kinzer Show. Here's Mark in the Wirtgen 5 and Steve in the Quaker State 11. They've been dominant of late. Point leader Jack Haudenschild had the solution Tuesday night. He blitzed Mark near halfway, never looked back. Steve was in full charge, though, smashing the track record in qualifying. He got to second there, but he didn't have enough for the Wild Child. Haudenschild outrunning the Kinzer clan, his 4th win of the year. And we'll have all the results in the Outlaw points and more Outlaw action from the weekend tonight on the PM edition of Race Day. There is more to come. The ASA stock cars in action last night. Everyone else wanting to be like Mike Eddy. And Glenn Jarrett will be back live for us at Dover Downs. More Winston Cup news, new developments in spoiler wars, and huge finds this week. All of that ahead on Race Day. Stick with us. Close again on green flag time at Dover. 500 miles live coming up for you here on TNN. A strong start up front today for one of my favorite race drivers. John Andretti put the Cranifus Haas T-Bird into the top 5. Let's go back live to the Monster Mile. Glenn Jarrett is there. Glenn, John Andretti, the fastest Ford in qualifying. Will he be a factor today, or does Jeff Gordon just have too much for all these Winston Cup drivers?
Well, they really didn't, you couldn't tell who was fastest today. Everybody was kind of tiptoeing on the new tires. These tires that they brought, that they practiced on this morning, they have to start the race on. As you said, Andretti, the fastest Ford, good qualifying run for him. He'll start 4th. Ford's got a little help this week. They got another 1/4 inch added to the rear spoiler. All the guys I talked to said they thought it would help. Chevrolet guys naturally said, I don't think they really need that, but nevertheless, they got it. Both Pontiac Fords have 6 1/4 inches now. In some other news this week, the 26 team of Kenny Bernstein, he announced that he's going to sell that team at the end of the year. They'll fulfill their obligations this year, then they're going to shut it down. Also, in today's race, Davy Jones is out of the 77 car. Bobby Hillin is in. Now, in other news that happened earlier this week, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon, crew chief Ray Evernham was fined a record $60,000 for use of non-approved equipment at Charlotte. Worried about what it might do to team morale? This is what Ray had to say.
Oh, it hurts. I'm sure it's going to hurt it. I mean, it's definitely going to tarnish our image. There's no doubt about it. You know, people aren't going to think the same way about us. You know, it was just as hard to tell my own mom and dad about what had happened. So you know, when you feel embarrassed about it, other people are going to feel different about it, and I do feel embarrassed about it. But the hard work that got us here, we're just going to have to work twice as hard now to show everybody that, hey, we want to do this legitimate and we want to be around the sport for a long time, and we're definitely not going to do anything to cause disrespect to our race team or our sponsors or NASCAR in the future.
Closer look at Ray Evernham during the running of today's race, which will start live here on TNN at 12 noon today. Stay with us.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Glenn Jarrett, live in Dover. We'll head back there one more time in a couple of minutes, but the start is just moments away. Now, short track stock cars for you. 7-time ASA champion Mike Eddy has been the only driver to visit Victory Lane in that series so far this season. He won the first 3 ASA events of the year, 9 straight overall, counting some outlaw events in Florida back during Speed Weeks. Well, last night, Mike Eddy went for ASA win number 4 up in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. Eddy's black Pontiac, the 88 car, dominates the first half of the race, chased by the Bluebird Bob Seneker's Ford T-Bird, the 84 car. Eddy would hold the lead for quite a while, had to pit for fresh rubber, and that would prove Mike Eddy's undoing. Bad center rubber forces a second stop for Eddy later. From there, a race against the lap counter. While Seneker battled sophomore sensation Brian Refner here in the black number 5, Eddy stuck with Tony Raines in the 87 and alongside Scott Hansen's 53. Eddy showed some maybe newfound patience. He diced and bumped and battled with those two for 45 laps. Finally got by him, but he ran out of time to catch Seneker. Next time, maybe he won't be so patient. Bob Seneker breaks Mike Eddy's win streak. Now Mike has one more shot at second here on the inside of the 5 car, but no dice either. Bob Seneker, the winner. Congratulations to the Bluebird. Here's your top 10 last night. Seneker over Brian Refner and Eddy, Scott Hansen and Tony Raines, and a call to Gary Saint-Amant in 6th last night. Last chance race winner Dave Sensiba started 26th and comes up to 8th. Rick Beebe, last year's Rookie of the Year, also with a good run last night. Mike Eddy, not the only person with lousy luck last night in the ASA. Last Thursday, the ASA offices in Pendleton, Indiana, badly burned in a fire. Heavy damage there. Firefighters able to save the back half of the building. Here's some home camera pictures for you. Series records in the corporate paperwork store there. ASA officials tell us that they'll have temporary offices open up this week. They should be back to business close to usual by tomorrow. Lots more to come on race day. We will leave the fire scene and check in on the wild AMA flat track bikes. We'll also go live to Richmond, Virginia. The NHRA at the Virginia for Lovers Nationals, first time ever. All that and more coming up. Stick with us right here. Back on race day, good to have you with us today. A brand new day, you might say. New surface at Dover and brand new everything for the NHRA drag racers in Virginia. You'll see the finals of the first event ever at the brand new Virginia Motorsports Park later this afternoon, live here on TNN. Now, if you missed NHRA today earlier, let's update you on qualifying for today's finals. Our Mopar performance update looks like this. Some familiar faces setting quick times, all on Friday, by the way. High temperatures yesterday made for a slippery racetrack. In Pro Stock, the Mopar boys, Scott Jeffrey and Darrell Alderman, still not in action, so Warren Johnson was the dominator. Warren's fast pass, a 7:05.4 at 195.82 in the left lane there. Now in funny car, Chuck Eschels in his Kendall Dodge Avenger, also on the far side, hustling down the quarter, 5:156 at more than 240 miles an hour. And in Top Fuel, Larry Dixon Jr. the fastest. First round of Top Fuel eliminations were run this morning. TNN Steve Evans standing by live in Richmond. Steve, how did Larry Dixon Jr. make out up there today?
Well, that is the big story so far here, Rick, because Larry Dixon Jr. in the Don Prudhomme car, the Winston Points leader, the world record holder, the #1 qualifier here, took it on the chin in round number 1. Connie Coletta put him out. Actually, Dixon beat himself with a lack of traction. Connie Coletta only mustered a 5:01. Also surviving round number 1, Shelly Anderson with a 4:92 over Mike Dunn. Corey McClanahan had picked up some points on Dixon with a victory over Jim Head. Michael Brotherton beat the newcomer Ron Capps. Blaine Johnson put out Joe Amato. Eddie Hill defeated a tire smoking again, Kenny Bernstein. Scott Coletta, best elapsed time of the round at 4.80. He beat Tommy Johnson Jr. And Rance McDaniel struggled to a 5:63 over Pat Dakin. Now my favorite so far here, I really like Scott Coletta. That 480 tells me that this man and his crew chief Dick LaHaye have figured out this racetrack. They put a taller wing on it and moved the wing back. And it was at this point in the season last year when Scott began his march towards a Winston championship. Rick?
Maybe he can put together a win string here as we move into the summer months.
Maybe he can. And don't forget, folks, we'll be back live here at 5 o'clock with all the final rounds. This would be a good day to lose your remote and just watch TNN, right?
You bet. We've got plenty for everybody. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. Steve Evans with the finals of today's NHRA event live at 5. Here this afternoon, highlights tonight on Race Day at 7:30. We go back to the short tracks now. The NASCAR Modified Tour making their first visit of the year to one of New England's unique speedways, Lee, USA in New Hampshire Friday night. 1990 Series champ Jamie Tomato hasn't won since this race a year ago. He won't win last night either. Tony Hirschman back in the pack. Trouble for Tomato. The Jet bumped by another car. Sparks fly. Collects Roger Hill. Hirschman and Reggie Ruggiero here fighting for the lead. Tim Conley in the 17 car also on the move, slicing through the pack. Conley with his sights set on second, gets it done on the outside here of the Reg, getting by the 69. Conley hasn't won since winning Nazareth in 93. The Hirschman-Conley battle didn't last long, though. The Endicott, New York native blowing past Hirschman's 3 on the inside. He holds on to the checkered flag. Conley's first win in more than 2 years. And Eddie Flemke Jr. in the Sister Raceworks machine grabs third. Good finish for Eddie Jr. Here at the order of finish from Friday night at Lee. Conley over Hirschman, Flemke, Cravenio in the 44 car, and Reggie Ruggiero in the 69 grabs a nice 5th. Yeah, we've got a lot more ahead. We are not done by any means. The two-wheelers, we'll talk about them tonight on the PM edition of Race Day. When we come back, we'll go back live for you to Dover and to Virginia Motorsports Park. Stay with us. We're only minutes away from the start of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 live on TNN. Drag racing later on. Stick with us. Welcome back to Race Day. It's time for Off-Road Racing's annual trek south of the border to the Baja. And for Ivan Stewart this week, Fiesta time. Jerry Garrett has our story.
Ivan Stewart has set so many milestones in his career in Baja, California. It's only fitting that this weekend he celebrated yet another one, his 50th birthday.
It's great to be in Mexico for my birthday. For last 25 years I've been racing, been coming out here to celebrate my birthday, and every year I want the same thing, and that's to win this race. And I've been real lucky. I think it's 12 or 13 we've won, so look forward to it every year. It seems to fit my driving style.
Well, one hot topic around Ivan Stewart's birthday party was his recently announced Spec Truck Series, in which he plans to make racing affordable again for a whole new class of truck racers. Meanwhile, we'll have a full report on the birthday boy and the Baja 500 next week on Race Day. This is Jerry Garrett reporting.
All right, thanks, Jerry. 50 is still, you're just a kid. Jerry mentioned we'll have the highlights of the Baja 500 next week right here. I haven't finished third, by the way. We'll show you all that went on down there coming up 1 week from today. Now, as we've shown you a double dip live today on TNN, Dover's Winston Cup event and Richmond's NHRA race. And before we go, one last check at each racetrack. Back to Dover Downs. Glenn is there live. Who do you like today?
Well, I'm really going to go out on a limb, Rick. Rusty Wallace going for his 4th straight race here at Dover. He'll be awfully tough. Also, the 18 Chevrolet of Bobby Labonte won last week, running strong here. You can't rule out the front row of Jeff Gordon, Ward Burton as a dark horse. I'm going to pick my brother Dale Jarrett. Ran awfully good in practice, very consistent car. We'll be back on TNN here to bring things to you live. Let's go now to Richmond. Steve Evans.
Hey, thanks, Glenn. I did a lot of races with you guys at Dover. Have a good time today. I won't go out on a limb because I think the #1 qualifier, Chuck Etchells, has finally figured out the combination. Tim Richards, his crew chief, I like them in funny car. If Warren Johnson gets beat in Pro Stock, it's because he beat himself. Remember, the Dodges aren't here. Nobody else is close. Scott Coletta, as I said earlier, I think Dick LaHaye has that thing figured out. But on a hot, sticky, iffy racetrack like this, who knows? Rick?
All right, Steve, let's hope the Safety Safari stays parked all day. We'll see you at 5 o'clock today. Now, the Miller Genuine Draft 500 from Dover. Next up at noon, live here on TNN, the Virginia for Lovers Nationals Finals. live at 5 Eastern, also here on TNN, and we'll have all the highlights for you tonight. The PM edition of Race Day comes your way at 7:30 Eastern tonight, right here. Well, that's all the time we have. We've got much more to talk about. We'll have another winning name for you in our Win with the Driver sweepstakes tonight at 7:30 Eastern on TNN Race Day. Also, Mario Andretti's return to active competition. We'll have details on that, a live recap of the Winston Cup event at Dover, and full highlights from the NHRA Bash at Virginia, plus the day in IndyCars and a whole lot more right here tonight on Race Day at 7:30 Eastern. Keep it right here. Winston Cup action is next. Have a fast and safe day. I'll see you tonight at 7:30.
Race Day is brought to you by Mopar, Chrysler Corporation Parts, and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. Promotional fee and consideration have been paid by Racing Radios. For all of your business and racing communications needs, as well as scanners and frequency lists, call on Racing Radios at 1-800-669-1522. By StarCraft Automotive, the leader in luxury van and truck conversions. Discover for yourself why StarCraft luxury quality and safety is setting the standard in luxury conversions.